Boom. All right. And we are live. Have I got your audio there, Luke?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think I've got you fine. I'll just double click over to the stream because it is a bit of a delay. And
I just saw it just then.
Cool. It's switched over. All right, lovely. If you're wondering what the hell's going on, this is League Lane with Dane, a weekly podcast I've started a couple weeks ago, looking to run it every Monday. This is the third episode. 2 have gone on YouTube already, but for this one I decided to bring it over to Facebook because this is where I have my largest following, and then I'll upload it to YouTube after this. So joining me today is MrLuke Sports. He is one of the largest rugby league YouTubers. I'll hand it over to you to say g'day, Luke.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Pretty excited to be doing this, to be honest.
Awesome, yeah, it was good. I reached out to you and pretty prompt response, so it was good that I could get you on now. I suppose the first question is, of all the social medias, why did you choose to use YouTube as your way to post your rugby league sort of opinions and stuff like that?
Well, honestly, when I started making YouTube videos, I was making FIFA videos back when I was in high school, maybe like FIFA 11, something like that. So kind of when the scene was kind of just starting, and then I was like, oh, no one's really doing rugby league stuff, so decided to upload. I think it was Rugby League Live 2 back then.
Yeah,
and I was just
I remember
gameplay stuff like that, and then just kept going from there, and then sort of branched out into sort of more live rugby league stuff rather than just the game.
Yeah, yep. So, yeah, okay. And you're a Doggies fan, right?
Yeah, big Doggies fan.
Doggies fan. How long have you been a Doggies fan for, man?
I'm gonna say first year was probably 2001. When I initially went for the Storm in 2000, I guess. Little me was a bandwagoner, I guess, and then Brett Camorley left, and I left too. I wasn't going to support Manly, or Northern Eagles, whoever he went to.
Yeah, fair enough. And I guess the last question before we get into what we're going on to tonight. Sorry if you guys see me looking down at my phone. Zach Lomax is about to jump on the Instagram and do a Q&A, and we're just having some technical difficulties at the moment. So hopefully he gets on all good in the next couple of seconds. But do you have any plans to branch out to Facebook, Instagram with your rugby league opinions and sort of videos anytime soon, or?
Not really. Mainly just sort of YouTube video stuff. I'm not really much of a writer, so I think the videos is more best suited for me. So, and plus you're doing a pretty good job with the Facebook stuff and the Instagram stuff, so I'll leave that to you.
Awesome. All right, so guys, today we're going to be going over some of the biggest stories this week. Then we're going to go over the new third-party agreements. For the first time, the NRL has actually made them public, which is very realistically, it's huge for us fans of the game. Then we're going to do a little halftime trivia. It's not much, guys, but I think I've got like 14 clocks here. I think I've got most. There was a couple teams I didn't have, and obviously the Origin ones. So we'll give those away. We'll do 2 this episode. Maybe a little bit more as we go on. Then we're going to talk about the Queensland tackle ban, get our thoughts on that. And we're going to go to the New South Wales Blues camp that just finished up. And then we're going to finish with a little segment, old versus new. We're going to compare some old players with some new players. So let's start off with the news stories of the week. If we just bear with me for 1 second, I'll be able to flick something on here. Boom. Latest news. All right, starting off, Clint Gutherson declared he wants to be the Eels' full-time fullback moving on from now. So I believe since Jared Hayne left for the NFL in 2014, there had been 9 different Parramatta Eels fullbacks.
Ooh, wow.
Which is a lot. And now Gutherson's come out and said, I want to be the Eels fullback full-time. Do you believe he's the best man for the job in 2019?
Yeah, I think, depending on how he comes back, he was out injured last year, wasn't he?
Yeah, so in 2017, he had a breakout year, and then he finished that one with injury, and he didn't come back till about halfway through, maybe even a little bit past in 2018.
Oh, he gets injured every year, and he comes back fine. So, yeah, I think he's the best man. For what they've got at the moment, he's definitely the best fullback at the club, I think.
Yeah, the only thing I see with that is he may have to step into 5'8" with Corey Norman going, and that obviously opens fullback up for Bevan French potentially.
Well, have the Eels got anyone they can literally just bring straight in to replace Norman, or are they gambling on someone?
Yeah, at the moment it seems like they're going to gamble on a young gun. They've got Dylan Brown there and also Jamin Salmon. Salmon, obviously, I think he got caught drink driving a while ago, so he's got a court case coming up. So I'd be inclined to think they start with Dylan Brown there.
I feel like I know the Eels. I'm pretty sure they've been talking a bit of a big game. I saw Mitchell Moses talking about expect like big things from the Eels, but I think it might be a bit of a throwaway year for the Eels. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think it really matters who they play.
The thing that about like Mitch Moses is he is playing for his future. So the fact that he doesn't have a contract past next year, so his worth is being determined by this year. To me, that indicates he should have a pretty solid year. But
does that also mean he might try to do too much though?
Yeah, I mean there is that as well. There's a fine line. I think with Norman, if he actually does leave, I think that betters Mitch Moses' year because he becomes the dominant half.
Those two as a combination just don't work. They're kind of too similar.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like they're both talented enough that it worked, and it worked in 2017. But long term, that's not the halves solution that the Eels are obviously going to want to run with. On to our next bit of news. If my hotkeys work, there we go. Corey Norman to the Dragons. Now it's not official yet. Reportedly, there's about $20,000 holding up this deal from going through. Norman says, I want an extra 20k paid out. The Eels say, no, this is what we're going to pay you out for. Nothing more, nothing less, or maybe something less, but nothing more. And Norman's not budging on his stance. So he trained with the Eels today, I believe, and he's set to continue training with them this week. But the 3-year deal is there for the Dragons. They're just ironing out the creases. Now, I thought at first this was for 2020, but if this is for 2019, is that a good or a bad signing to you?
It's a hard one because I think Corey Norman, obviously, like we just said before, he's a good talent, but him working with teams, like I don't know if he works for the Dragons. Obviously, I think I saw that he was gonna play 5'8", and they're gonna move Widdop to fullback. So I guess that's an improvement over Dufty.
Yeah, but where does Dufty go for you? Does he go to the wing or to reserve grade?
Well, I think he goes to reserve grade.
Okay, yeah, I mean. There was also the rumour that they were going to sign Robert Jennings, and I think that sort of died down a little bit since the Norman talks came up, obviously. But in terms of wingers at the club right now, Jordan Pereira and Jonas Pearson are probably their two best, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say they're definitely going to get the job, pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, Dufty's best attributes and skills don't really correlate to the wing. They're more of a
that's what I was thinking.
a bit of open space play, and that's when Dufty's most effective. So I definitely agree with what you're saying there. Our next bit of news for the week: Tariq Sims re-signs a 3-year deal with the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Now, I was talking to one of my friends, DK, and we were doing a few graphic designs for top fives, and we actually, I believe, we put Sims at number 1. Would you agree he's the best second row in the game based off his 2018 form?
I don't know if I'd say he's the best. He was pretty good in the second row, but with Tariq Sims, for everything he does good, he also does a lot of dumb shit as well. Like, he has a lot of errors. Like, if you look at the State of Origin, as soon as he came on, I'm pretty sure he did a high tackle. I can't remember exactly what he did, but I remember he did a big error straight away. Yep. So, well, you got to take the good with the bad with him. But
yeah, he's the sort of player that plays with that much aggression. It's how he channels it, and if he can channel it like successfully throughout a game. And like you say, that there are times when he doesn't, it's pretty noticeable.
Also, I think even at his own club, I think Frizzell's a better second row. So
yeah, you could definitely.
Frizzell's really good.
Yeah, you could definitely make that argument, and I think that's also justified by the fact Frizzell's in the Australian side, whereas Sims wasn't. So you definitely do have a pretty good point there. Our next bit.
Move on to the next one.
Yeah,
I think it'd be interesting to see Tariq and Corbin line up together. I don't think they've played together. I know Ashton and Tariq have played, but
maybe they played a couple rounds at the Knights, and then that was obviously when the Knights were in their real negative stage, and I think Tariq moved on, so they didn't actually play that much together. But with Leeson Armour leaving the club, let's be honest, Corbin Sims was probably the best replacement you could get for a bench impact forward, right?
Yeah, and I wouldn't imagine he'd be on huge money, so probably a good value for the player.
Yeah. All right, our next bit of news was Lachlan Maranta is back in the NRL. The former Brisbane Broncos winger, he signed a 1-year, sort of a lifeline deal, I would almost say, with the Dragons. I believe he was a little bit out of favour with the Queensland Reds in Super Rugby.
Did he ever get a go with them? Like, did he even actually play?
I don't watch much Super Rugby, man, so I couldn't give you an honest answer, but
I feel like I saw that he wasn't even playing for them.
Yeah, that could be true. I mean, and if it is, I think that almost... I mean, they do need wingers at the club, but would you have signed Lachlan Maranta if you were in their shoes?
I mean, he's got NRL experience, I guess, but I mean, he really is only a depth signing. If you've seen a lot of NRL players, they go over and they just jump straight into like the Wallabies team. And if this guy can't even get into like the Reds team,
yeah, you're right. Yeah, I've always said that we see a lot of our outside backs transition to rugby, and it seems so seamless. But we never see any rugby players transition to NRL. I don't know if it's a money thing or.
Oh yeah, it probably is. I suppose for them, they can, if they're chasing money, they don't need to jump codes. They can just go to France or something.
Yeah, that's true.
Go to Japan, stuff like that.
Yeah. Hey, did you see that? Peter Beattie today, he came out and said, if a player is convicted of assault in the game, we want to send a message to other codes where, just because we ban you from the NRL doesn't mean you can go play for another code. And I'm sitting here thinking, of the players in our game that have been convicted for assault, do you remember any that have actually fully been outlawed, like never to return?
None.
It's like I don't want to get political on the show, but that does seem like it's all talk by the NRL again, right?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, literally the only player I can think who's actually got rubbed out was Todd Carney. That was it.
And that wasn't even assault.
Yeah, that was just like his own sort of stupid behaviour.
Yeah, and the thing with Carney, like a lot of people draw it to Matt Lodge and they go, Lodge is allowed to play, but I will say this in Lodge's defence, that was his first mistake. And whilst Carney's were a lot minor, he did have a lot of, I won't say a lot, but he did have quite a few, definitely more than one chance in the NRL.
Yeah, and think of how many probably would have been covered up as well that we didn't hear about as well.
Oh, yeah, you can imagine, right? Let's move on to the next one. All right, I'm really excited to bring this one. So Tyrone Peachy has said the Gold Coast Titans are going to surprise a lot of people in 2019. Now, Luke, keep in mind you are talking to a Titans fan before you answer this. What do you make of his comments? I mean, I guess he's got a point. Like, you look through their side, they actually have a pretty formidable team. I'm not sure about the backs, though.
who are the centers going to be?
So for me, our centers will be Tyrone Peachy and Brian Kelly.
Oh, okay, yeah, they're right.
They're both attacking
good.
weapons, but yeah, I think Peachy has almost become a victim of his versatility, right?
Yeah, like even like when I said, oh, who's a center? Like, I didn't even think of him as a center.
Yeah,
Like,
well, there you go.
I don't even really know. Like I see him, he plays pretty good at lock, second row, halves. Like he plays.
5'8".
Yeah, I think he played fullback last year.
Yeah.
Like he's pretty good at every position.
He even said before State of Origin, he was like, I just want to play for the Blues this year. I'll play front row if I have to. And like his comments seemed a little bit ridiculous, but realistically, he's almost played everywhere else. So
well, he could probably do a job for you. It's just a matter of whether if he ends up as a center, can he become like a great center rather than just a sort of jack of all trades?
Yeah, and that's it. A lot of players these days, like Kurt Manns, they're so good at every position, but they're not good at just one, and they become a bit of a victim of it.
Yeah, like if you look at Tyrone Peachy, you say he's a good player, but he's not like a top 5 second row, top 5 lock, top 5 center, that sort of stuff. But top 5 utility is front number 1, probably.
Yeah. And that's why it was also a bit of a weird signing, because we have Tyron Roberts, who's also a noted utility. I mean, he played fullback for us. He played hooker. He played 5'8". I think he played a bit of centre. He played halfback. He played almost everywhere in the back line for us.
And adding Pete's can also be utility as well.
Yep. And that leads me to say, I would honestly say the side we have this year on the Gold Coast is the best we've ever had. But I just don't know if the chemistry and the team structure is there just yet for us to make a charge to the top 8. Talent-wise, and especially forward pack-wise, yes. The biggest question mark I have over my team is Ash Taylor. We know what he's capable of, but we've also seen what the bad side of his game, I suppose you would say, towards the end of 2018.
Well, I did a video when the Origin teams were announced and Cherry Evans got picked ahead of him. I was like, wow, like what are Queensland doing? And then Cherry Evans came out and killed it, and then Ash Taylor ended up having like a shit year. Like straight after that, he turned to shit. So he kind of made me look a fool.
I did the same, man. I did the same. I said,
I think a lot of people did.
I said, why are they going to Cherry Evans, someone who's failed in the past? Let's get some young blood in. But as a Queenslander, I'm pretty glad we went to DCE. Our next story is another club that thinks they're ready to deliver. The Newcastle Knights. Piercy's come out this week and he said, the rebuild's over. We have the team to deliver. Now, he didn't specify on what deliver meant, but I'm assuming such a strong statement is premiership. Would you sort of get that?
Yeah, I was thinking, when he said that, I was thinking he's going premiership. Especially him coming from the Roosters. Like, I know he spent last year at the Knights, but I suppose he doesn't want to spend too long sort of plodding away at just trying to make the 8 or try and make the 4.
Yeah. And a big thing for Piercy is, from what I know, he has a huge incentive penned into his contract for the Knights for top 8 finishes, top 4, and then I believe he's got a really big payout if he leads them to a premiership. So,
well, every team seems to have that little window of like 2, 3, 4 years where they can win it, and I feel like this is right. This is like year 1 of the Knights where they could win it, because you're like Kalen Ponga. I can't remember how long he signed for, but like they're talking like what are the chances he signs elsewhere at his next contract? So it's like all of them as well. But
yeah, all right. 2 questions on players. One we have mentioned, one we haven't. David Klemmer, how high do you rate him? And the same question for Kalen Ponga.
David Klemmer, I rate him really, really high. Killed me to see him leave. When he was talking about wanting to leave, I was like, there's some truth to it, but I was kind of going, no, come on, it won't happen.
Yeah, if it's fake, man, within 24 hours, the club has a statement out. Reports are whatever, they are fake. David Klemmer is contracted till now, and we didn't see that. And as soon as I didn't see those sort of the wheels in motion, I was like, wow, he's actually going to go. Yeah,
I think he's a really good player. It's kind of like similar to Tarek Sims. He's got all the aggression, can do some dumb things, some very dumb things, some silly penalties and that sort of stuff. But overall, you're not going to find too many forwards who are better than him. So I don't know. For me, like with the Knights, it's just a matter of they might have overpaid for him because at the end of the day, he is only a prop.
And I 100% get that. I wouldn't pay. I was saying this to DK when we were on Discord earlier today. 650 to 750k is realistically the max I would pay any forward besides Sam Burgess in his prime and Jason Taumalolo currently.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think Wayne Bennett sort of had the right idea where he only had a certain amount. I think it might have been 500,000.
Yeah,
prop, something like that.
And what I remember actually with what you're saying is when he came back to Broncos for the second time, Corey Parker, Sam Thaiday, and I'm not sure about Matt Gillette, but I believe they all had to actually re-sign for less because Bennett's like, well, I'm back now. You guys know how it is.
Yeah,
and they were, they were happy to do it to continue playing there, but.
I feel like with forwards, you need like solid forwards, you need serviceable forwards, but you don't need superstar forwards. You save that for the halves and the backs. Both
the Burgess brothers, Tom and George, come off contract this year at the Rabbitohs, and they're obviously fan favourites. But Bennett does coach them at England international level as well. But imagine if he made the decision not to re-sign them; it'd just be so weird not seeing them at the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, I wonder how the Rabbitohs fans. I don't know other. Twins, are they fan favourites? Because I know Sam Burgess
Sam definitely is, but I'm not sure.
Are the Twins kind of just there? Like, I don't know. Would there be a big outrage?
Yeah, well, I tell you what, there might not be an outrage among the fans, but you could almost certainly say it would ruffle Big Sam Burgess if his brothers weren't re-signed.
Definitely. Yeah. I honestly think they just do whatever to keep Sam happy.
Yeah. Just quick, do you reckon Burgess is the best Pommy we've ever had play in the NRL?
I'm a bit biased because I like James Graham, but if he's not the best, he's top 2, top 3.
Yeah,
he's probably. I'd say he's the best.
He's up there. All right,
Hodgson's pretty good too.
Yeah, Hodgson, very, very good steal there by Canberra. Next bit of news: Cohen Hess re-signs with the Cowboys for a 3-year extension. Now, this might seem like a bit of a weird question because obviously he has been re-signed long term, but. Is he under pressure? Because realistically, the Cohen Hess we saw in 2016, 2017, the one that had to be in the Maroons side, he wasn't the same Cohen Hess last year, to say the least.
Yeah, I didn't see too much of the Cowboys last year, but that was kind of the general consensus from what I was seeing, especially around Origin time, was that, he can't defend or something, I think it was.
Yeah. Well, if you didn't watch the Cowboys last year, you didn't miss much, I can tell you that.
Yeah, they didn't seem to be too good.
Yeah,
but from what I like when he first came on the scene, amazing. Like I think it was his first game. He scored a try, and it seemed like he was scoring a lot of tries. And I was like, this guy's a gun. And then obviously he went on to play Origin. But yeah, if defense is a pretty big thing, it was kind of like Bryce Cartwright. Like you can attack all you want, but if you got defense isn't there, then
and that sort of comparison is even made at the top level of the game. People's big argument for Joey being the GOAT over JT is his defense. So you can certainly see. I want to ask you this real quick. So this would be my Cowboys forward pack. I would start props: Josh Maguire, Jordan McLean. Hooker, I would have Jake Granville. My back row would be Gavin Cooper and Ethan Lowe or John Asiata with Taumalolo at lock. Now off the bench, I would bring Cohen Hess and Matt Scott into the game at the same time. And I think Cohen Hess did play his best footy off the bench. And with someone like Matt Scott in the middle that is going to grab the ball and get you that early hit up, which allows Hess to hide out a little bit wider than he usually would, save his energy, and when the moment comes, run that perfect short ball off Michael Morgan. I think that could be pretty damaging for the Cowboys. Yeah,
I just think that Cowboys team in general, if they can sort out their backs, like that their forward pack, I think is the best forward pack.
Yeah, and
on paper anyways.
Yeah, on paper. And you know what Paul Grings told them? He said, boys, last year didn't work. We're not going to play the structure in 2019 as much. I'm giving you boys an open license. I want you to throw the footy around, and I want you to more or less have fun with your footy again. And to me, with outside backs like Kyle Felt, McDonald, Geller Mosby, Michael Morgan steering the ship around, Jake Granville, big meters out of dummy half, getting replaced with Kurt Baptiste, more big meters out of dummy half.
I was just going to say, with Granville, was he out of form last year? Like big time?
I wouldn't say he was out of form. So Granville's best attribute to his game has always been his running game, getting out of dummy half when the markers aren't set and making that little quick blitz. And he just could not do it in 2018 by no fault of his own. the Cowboys forwards were getting dominated, and he, besides Samuel, of course, and he couldn't play his natural game, man. It happens, doesn't it?
Well, we've seen he can do it in the past with a good 4-pack. Like when they won the comp, they had Matt Scott and Tamu.
Yeah, James
starting props, and he's very similar to Damien Cook as well. And we saw what Cook can do behind the big Rabbitohs forward pack.
Yeah.
So I think the Cowboys forward pack's better than the Rabbitohs one. So
one thing I've been talking about actually is so when Madge Maguire was at the Rabbitohs, how absurd does this sound to you now? Who would you start, Robbie Farah or Damien Cook? It's a no-brainer, right?
Damien Cook. No, what's even more absurd is Michael Leacher or Damien Cook.
Yeah,
at the Bulldogs.
And Bulldogs say, "See you, Cook." Oh, that is. If you look at some of the Bulldogs' blunders players they've let go, I mean, we don't even have to name certain names. We just name one of the greatest of all time, JT. Like, to keep, who was it? Sherwin?
Sherwin and Anasta. To be fair, at the time, they just come off winning premiership.
Yeah, okay. But what are some other names? I mean, Martin Tapau, David Clemmer, Damien Cook.
Finucane.
Roy Azatazi. I think you guys let him go to the Rabbitohs.
Even Nate Miles left.
There's just been so many spectacular
even like
names.
Herman Essie played like 2 games and then
you're not
left
wrong.
it. I don't know. There's a lot of weird sort of signings with the Bulldogs over the years.
Yeah,
none more than letting Damien Cook go and keeping Leacher.
Yeah, and this is really awkward, man. So Leisha follows my page, and I put a little post up saying, Leisha, it has been re-signed by the Bulldogs or something. Dean Pay has confirmed he will start. Some guy comments, seriously, has this guy got nudes of the executives or something? How does he keep getting a run? Blackmail? And Michael Leisha replied to him on that comment and blasted the guy. And then I scrolled through the comments, and every comment was just Lisa's shit, and he full must have had a proper read, man, and just blasted some fan. Went back an hour later, comment gone. So I was like, oh shit.
Well, I suppose for them, it's got to be annoying. Like you go, just going anywhere and you're getting blasted. But
oh yeah, bro,
I mean, like he mentioned defend. He does defend very well, but I really feel like Hasler really stuffed him up. I don't know if he was ever going to be like a world beater, but just from what I heard about him in the juniors to what he ended up becoming.
I mean, especially when the Bulldogs forward pack's always prided itself on dogs of war, aggressive footy, and big meters lead to opportunities for your hooker to get out and run. And Hasler says to him, "No, pass, don't run,
and the
pass."
Thing is, I remember in Michael Ennis last year, maybe the last few years, I remember he was literally playing the exact same way as what Leacher was under Hasler, just pretty much passing it, and I was hating on it. I was like, Ennis can leave. I don't care. Ennis can leave. He can go to the Sharks. Then he goes to him and Leacher do the swap, and they kind of swap form as well. Leacher just turns into what Ennis was playing. And Ennis played well.
Ennis goes on to win a comp, and you in the meantime, you guys pick up, in my opinion, easily the worst hooker in the NRL at the moment. Let's move on, but to the beast, Manu Vatuvei. He makes his boxing debut and knocks out the guy, Dave Latelli, I think his name is. I think he's known as like the New Zealand Butterbean. He knocks him out in 28 seconds on debut. Did you end up catching the fight or seeing a highlight?
I think I just saw like an article on it saying that he won. And that was about it.
I can tell you what, man. He looked about 10 years younger. The uppercuts he was throwing were straight from hell, man. I mean, he landed 2 and the other guy wanted no business. He wanted out. And the scariest
they're calling
thing,
the beast, maybe that's why.
Yeah, and you know what he actually said before that fight? He said, I'm doing this boxing thing to stay fit because I don't know if I'm done with rugby league. Now, obviously he didn't use the word NRL, which obviously there is the Super League as well. He previously, I don't know if he played over there because he got injured, but he has been, actually he did play a few games for Salford, I believe.
They're the big cashed up team, eh?
Yeah. Do you think we'll ever see Manu Vatuvei again? I would say no in the NRL, but
definitely not the NRL.
Yeah,
I'd say
no one would take the punt, and it's just it'd have to be a 1-year deal if it was.
Plus, I remember when he was there, he just kept getting injured, and that was a few years ago. So I can't imagine it would be any better. Maybe it's like, I don't know, local league captain coach.
Yeah, I mean,
something. I don't know.
I mean, if he did sign for even just like a semi-pro rugby league team over there, he's such a household name for New Zealand footy that club will benefit a lot.
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
Let's go now. Liam Knight and Corey Dennis have signed for the South Sydney Rabbitohs now. To me, these are both depth buys. I don't see either of them lighting the world on fire or realistically even getting a consistent crack there.
So just so we're clear, Liam Knight, he was the Raiders prop.
Yeah,
is that right?
yeah, he played a
And
couple
then Corey
games.
Dennis was the Knights winger.
Yeah, Knights
Centre?
winger centre. Yeah, I mean, to me, these signings are good for depth, but I've got to address the elephant in the room. Robert Jennings isn't re-signed, guys. The second highest try scorer in the NRL. You guys haven't re-signed him, but you're going to go and sign fringe first graders? Does that not seem crazy to you?
That might be the problem, that they can't sign Jennings too much. That's why they're going for these fringe guys.
Right, yeah, and I mean, there is the rumour that Bennett's told him that you don't have, your future's not safe here, man. And Seabold, obviously had told him you're part of the plans, and he wasn't re-signed, but he was still training with the team. Apparently, Bennett's come now.
Here's the thing with the Robert Jennings is, do you think he's actually that good, or did he just benefit in being in a good side?
Yeah, you're right. He played.
Some wingers look pretty good in some sides, like in the top sides, and
with what you're saying there, with what you're saying there, Darius Boyd has a lot of state of origin tries. I'm not sure if he has the record, but he's up there. And who did he play outside on the wing most of his career?
GI.
And that's exactly who Jennings played outside this year. So maybe he would get exposed if he went to another team. Maybe he's not as good as we think he is yet.
Let's look at the Eels, all right? So they have Sammy Radradra on a wing. They have Jennings/Takarangi. I think it was Takarangi on Radradra's side. And he was just feeding Radradra, scoring left and right.
Oh, yeah. He made it look easy.
Radradra's gone, and Takarangi looks like a reserve grader.
Yeah. But Taka, I've got to admit, some of his offloads to Semi were pretty good.
They were ridiculous. Takarangi, I liked Takarangi back then. Like you said, just with the offloads, some of them were just like ridiculous. But I suppose when you have the confidence that you got Radradra outside of it, you can sort of just throw it and he'll be there. So that helps a lot.
And because he was a larger body in the centres, he was a second row transitioning. Oftentimes the winger would be like, crap, I've got to come in and shut this down. As soon as he'd see the winger leave, boom, Semi's away. One thing my dad said to me a while ago, he's a big Eels fan, by the way. He said to me, I think Takarangi is a great player, but he's not an 80-minute player. He should be like an impact player off the bench. And I thought, yeah, I mean, he can defend as a second row. He's as fast as an outside back, and he's got a pretty dangerous offload. Yeah,
just chuck him in the second. I suppose that the problem with the Eels is have they already got some good second rows. I know Sean Lane just signed with them. Yeah, he's pretty good.
Tepai Marawa, Manu Mau.
Are they still trying to get rid of Mau?
No, so Mo was going to go to the Cowboys because someone regularly inboxes my page, and he's always got the best mail. It's always very accurate. He's really good friends with someone in the loop in the NRL, and he said Manu Mau to the Cowboys. I didn't end up posting it, but pretty much it didn't go ahead because Maguire. He said, to the Broncos, look, I need to like scenery change. I've been here too long. I feel stale. So they organised a release, and if you're the Cowboys, do you take a forward from a team who came last, or do you take a forward that's an Origin player and top 8? So it was,
and also age. Look at the age. Differences too. Mo's up there.
Definitely agree on that, man. And then just before, the man we were talking about, Robert Jennings, is rumoured to be... Well, there's two teams waiting and watching the situation very closely now. From what I know on this, guys, the Tigers said earlier this year, we could sign Jared Hayne if we want. We have about... Jared Hayne's asking price was about $700K at that stage, and the Tigers confirmed they can sign him. Yeah, I mean, $700K for Hayne, no, that was ridiculous. But the fact Tigers did have the money there, they could sign Jennings if they wanted.
Do you think the Tigers need another winger, though? I mean, Corey Thompson was pretty good. Nofaluma is pretty good.
Yeah, they've got two very well-established wingers there that, if he did sign... A lot of people have been saying, I want to see Jennings in the centre. And I sort of saw the merit, and I was like, yeah, maybe. But just speaking about what we did then, about him playing outside Greg Inglis, maybe he definitely would get found out in the centre.
He wouldn't be the first winger to move into the centres and get found out.
Yeah, you're certainly right. And the other team, of course, is the Eels. So he would be joining both his brothers if he did that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Get all three of them together. That'd be the first time they'd all be together, I'm assuming.
And I think what would happen there is you could keep Jennings on the wing and move Blake Ferguson to the other centre, pair the brothers on the other wing.
Yeah, Ferguson can do a job in the centres. He's a bit rough in defence in the centres, but he could do a job for him.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think Ferguson definitely is better on the wing because he can do the kick return then. He's a better finisher. And like you said, his defense is a little rusty, and he is good for an error or two, if we're being honest. All right, now we're going to move on. What I'm going to bring up on the screen now, guys, is the third-party agreements graph. So this is an official graph, guys, released by the NRL. You're going right up on your phone now, man?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I remember saying this was quite interesting.
Okay, so
it's surprising.
My first question, and I already know what you're going to say. Everyone's thinking it. What the hell? How have the Roosters down there? It can't be true.
I saw, might have been the NRL Roast Facebook page, something where they put the paper bags on top, all the way to the top of the graph.
Yep. Yeah, and I also read somewhere the Roosters said we've got a spare 500k in our cap still. So obviously third-party agreements, I'm not 100% on them, but they are separate to the NRL. But the NRL still needs to lodge the contract at the end of the day.
Well, if they're that low, how can they explain the side that they have? I don't understand compared to some other teams.
I mean, I made that argument as well. I went through I think of their team, 2 or 3 players aren't rep players, and even then their players like Mitch Orbison, Jake Friend.
And I know I see a lot of the arguments Roosters fans say is, oh, well, we brought them up to reserve grade and all that sort of stuff. But then a lot of times they're signing the best juniors, so they're not signing them for nothing.
The last junior I can think that actually re-signed with the club and was there as a junior was Victor Radley. And he's the only one I can think of in recent memory.
Yeah, like an actual junior, not like a poach from New Zealand at 16 or whatever.
So my question, I guess, is, so the NRL is obviously separate while these negotiations go on, but they've obviously accepted and lodged, or all these contracts have been lodged, and they've accepted them. Did they not stop once to think, well, let's look at our teams, for example, Bulldogs and Titans. Did they not once stop and say, hey, this is pretty unfair. These guys have 50k that we've registered, and we've just registered the Storm for over $1 million.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me that they didn't...
It does seem very weird.
Pick up on that at all. And I just can't understand that. And I mean, I get there's one club in the town, so that, you know.
But then also, if you have a look, I'm pretty sure the Warriors were down as well, and they're a one-team country.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And even like the Titans, we're a one club, you know, in the town, and we're right down there. The Knights
and you think
are the only team.
The Broncos are like the closest team to Gold Coast, and you look at the difference.
The difference is,
I know Broncos have been around a lot. They're a lot more popular, but still.
I'm just. Is there I can't even think of a fix for this though. Is there anything the NRL can do, like,
unless they bring in a salary cap for third party, like a limit? I don't know.
That's the thing, but like if they say to the Storm right now, like, hey, we've just reviewed the graph, you're completely unfair. You're paying over $1 million. You know, the Eels are only paying 49k. They're the lowest, 49k. You know, that's not fair. What did the Storm do then? Everyone's going to be like, well, see you later, Storm. That's not part of my contract.
How much higher would it have been if Cooper Cronkett stayed? Like, do you think it's just because Storm have got those real high profile? Like, if you look, Cameron Smith, Billy Slater, they were like two of the highest, like, well-known plays. Cowboys had Thurston. Are they the ones bringing in those third parties? So as soon as they're gone, it'll go straight back down.
Yeah, I think that's how it worked, because when we had Hayne at the Titans, Tripadil, who was one of our jersey sponsors, paid him an extra 350k or something. On top, I think he was already earning like 1 point or $1 million for us. So
I feel like it seems to happen pretty regularly. You see that these certain players are unhappy because their third party deals have fallen through. So I find it strange. Is it not paid up front, or I don't know how it actually works?
Yeah, I'm
so like,
not
would the people on Fox Sports, would they be classed as a third party?
I'm not sure. The only one I'm familiar with, and that's because I followed this one closely, obviously, because Hayne was my favourite player, was one of our jersey sponsors paid him extra.
Okay, yep.
So I'm not 100% familiar on it. But in some good news, guys, I believe next is the trivia. So pretty much, Luke's going to ask a question. I'm going to ask a question. Whoever answers it first correctly, you can choose. I've almost got every single club. So like, here's an example. It's just a small clock, guys. There's a Blues one and a Queensland one. And I think I'm missing like the Storm, Titans, a couple teams' clocks because they didn't have them in stock. I wanted to grab one of each team. I'll let you ask your first question first, Luke, and I'll check the chat for who's first.
Okay, so the question is in regards to the 2016 NRL Grand Final between, I think it was the Sharks and the Storm. If you can name the first try scorer, the last try scorer, and the Clive Churchill medal winner. I think there might be one of those that might sort of get a few people. Because it was a bit controversial back when it happened.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
There's a little bit of a hint.
Obviously, we're going to have to wait a couple seconds because the stream on Facebook is about like 10, 12 seconds behind when I counted, which is weird because YouTube was like 3 seconds, but I'm watching the chat, man, so we'll see as soon as it comes up. All right, one person's had a guess. Incorrect.
Who did they guess?
They guessed Andrew Fafita for first, Michael Ennis, and Ben Barber.
Someone just nailed it. I've just seen it.
Oh, yeah, I got to keep scrolling down.
I've seen a Matthew Tabbert.
Yep. Yeah, that looks to be it, man. He looks to be first. Ben Barber, first try scorer. Andrew Fafita last, and Luke Lewis. Beautiful. So, Matty Tabbert, inbox me. I'm actually happy you won, man. He's a pretty good follower, man. He likes all my stuff on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so real happy that went to you. All right, guys, my trivia question is, who am I? All right, so I'm a 2-time premiership winner, but I only played in one of these grand finals. One of these teams was the New Zealand Warriors. I was a forward. That's the only hints I'll give for now.
The temptation to scream at the answer right now.
Yeah.
Lips are sealed.
So, not Isaac Luke.
I feel like a lot of people won't get this.
Yeah. Okay, well, since someone's
got it. Yeah, they got it.
Yep. All right, so DK Rule Edits has picked up. Steve Price was the answer. Congratulations to Maddie and DK. Message me after and I'll email you. Oh, not email, sorry. I will mail you those clocks. All right, let's talk about the Queensland tackle ban, man. So under sixes in Queensland now, there's a complete tackle ban in the game. You don't tackle anymore. And further to that, you don't play finals footy anymore. There's no grand final at the end of the year. To me, this seems like it's a social comp now, not a competition. And then another thing is, if you don't want to tackle, play touch footy, play Oz
there's already two sports that are literally there. Like, I understand it if it's under sixes. I kind of understand it, but then at the same time, like, under sixes aren't going to be destroying each other. Like, it's not like there's not big hits in under sixes. It's just kids running sideways.
I mean, and I can speak from experience. When I played under sixes, there was no under sixes, so you had to play up in under sevens. And I pretty much was only playing because my dad wanted me to at this stage. And I was honestly scared. Every time I get the ball, man, I would run the complete other way. And I'd just pretend I'd go, oh, I didn't know, and act like an idiot. I'd run all the way back to my try line and put the ball down and then like act like I'd scored, like thinking I was the man. And like in my mind, I remember I full knew like you're running the wrong way, but I was just so scared of being tackled. So there is that side of it, but I don't know, man. I
suppose that there are a few 6-year-olds who actually don't want to be playing, but yeah, it's pretty much, I remember seeing like the 6s, 7s and that, and yeah, a lot of it, they do that thing where you got to pass it a few times and then one of them just gets it and tries to run around the team. Much it. And then there'd always be that one kid who was just a gun player, just run through everyone.
That was almost my little brother, man, because I was 3 or 4 years older than him, so teaching him how to tackle and stuff, he was so much more experienced than these other kids. Yeah. How's this for a funny story? So when I was in under sixes, I don't remember this, but Mum told me, I decided once I'm gonna take a run forward. I'm not gonna run backwards. And some kid, like as they're like passing the ball, he obviously came offside because, as you said, you got to do the 2 passes. And as I've caught it and gone around, this big kid's in front of me and he's gone, give me the ball. So I full just handed him the ball.
Wow.
The ref at the time's like, what do I do? Like, this doesn't happen. So, yeah, I mean...
Yeah. What are you supposed to do? You just got to give it to him.
Yeah, exactly. If they're big...
You're not going to argue with him.
Yeah.
You don't want to die.
Let's talk about the New South Wales Blues camp that recently occurred, and in particular 2 men, Jesse Ramian and Zach Lomax. Now, Zach Lomax, I believe, is doing a Q&A right now on my Instagram stories.
Yeah, Zach.
So if you guys are watching that, or watching this, head over and check that out. That should be pretty good. But they've both said, we want to play for the New South Wales Blues in 2019, and that's a goal. Is that a realistic goal for those sort of players, in your opinion?
For Jesse Ramian, yes. Zach Lomax, no. Well, Zach Lomax, I mean, at the moment, if we're being realistic, his sort of fight is for a position in the Dragons team. He's got probably him or Tim Laffey will miss out because Ewan Aiken's going to be the other centre. Yeah. And you'd think Laffey is going to miss out. So maybe in the future, definitely in the future, be in contention. But Jesse Ramian...
Yeah, the only other thing that could work it would be if Matt Duffy or Norman was a utility role off the bench. Lomax was on the wing with Pereira on the other, and then Laffey and Aiken could stay in the centres. But
but then you got Ethan as well, probably be a winger.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I don't know. I think Laffey misses out.
Yeah, I think Laffey too. I think Laffey's a good player, but I also think he does make a couple silly errors and forces the offload a little too much in some situations.
He doesn't seem to have. He hasn't seemed to have gotten any better since when he was at the Bulldogs, and that was it. He'd do some good things, but he was sort of too busy just looking for that random offload that usually used to hit the ground.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Reminds me of
or over the sideline.
He reminds me of BJ Leilua from the Raiders. So damaging, but just.
Well, he's like a shittier version of Leilua. He's Leilua without the explosiveness.
Yeah. All right, we're going to do one more segment this evening. We're going to go old school versus new school. I'm going to do 3 different player comparisons. I'm going to shoot them at you, Luke. Joey versus JT. Who and why?
I swap and change in this all the time.
So do I.
Probably... Andrew Johns was kind of just like before my era, where I've had Thurston the whole time, so I'm way more familiar with Thurston.
Yeah, I feel like how old are you, man?
I'm 23.
Okay, yeah, I'm 21, so I'm in the same boat there.
So for us, we kind of missed out, and when we saw Andrew Johns, he was past his prime probably. So
yeah,
from what I can tell, from based off the little bits I've seen, I feel like Andrew Johns was probably the better player, but.
Yeah, but we've also got to keep in mind...
Thurston was the ultimate competitor, so...
Exactly, and they're different. Like, the game has just evolved so much. Whenever I'm on Channel 502 watching these classic matches from 04, 05, the ruck speed, the play the ball speed is so slow. It's like watching it in slow motion compared to today's game, but, I mean...
Even, like, plays and stuff. A lot of whiting out stuff back then.
I will say, as a kid, growing up, I went for the Knights purely because of Andrew Johns. And obviously I was young, so I didn't get footy too much. But that's the sort of influence he had on young kids. And I assume JT would have been the same for the next generation. But so...
Well, do you think if you add Andrew Johns, just hypothetically, he was a Queenslander, and he replaces Thurston in that Origin team, they still win all those ones in a row, right?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people point the finger at Pearce. I don't think anyone could have stopped that Queensland team. They were just too good at finishing, like closing out matches is the word I'm looking for.
Well, it's they had Lockyer, and then once Lockyer's gone, then they bring in Cronk. Like they didn't even have that down for.
Cronk was off the bench at one stage for him.
Yeah, he was their little utility dude.
Yeah, isn't that insane? All right, our next old school versus new school. Gordon, the Raging Bull Tallis versus Viliami Kickout. Who do you take and why?
It's got to be Gordon Tallis.
Yeah.
Just based on the fact that Kickout's still so new to the game.
Yeah.
It hasn't really been around for that long. Yeah. And Gordon Tallis is just a legend, so...
Yeah, but the thing with Kickout, and the reason I did pose this question was we've only seen Kickout in his first proper year in the NRL.
Already got
so how much upside does this dude have to his career? Can he be as good as Jason Tamalolo? Will he get second year syndrome? We don't know yet, but there's
That's
so
what he's
much
got.
potential
That's what he's
there.
going to face, because there's a lot of second. I mean, look, Bryce Cartwright. Look at him.
Yeah.
At the same club. I know they're different players, but just got to sort of watch out for the hype with a lot of the youngsters.
Yeah, and what's with that? A lot of young players that come through, and straight away people are attaching the stigma or the tag of, oh, he's like the next JT, or he's going to be one of the best. Like, just let these kids come through and develop.
Yeah, well, I remember, I've talked about Cartwright a fair bit so far, but I just remember the hype on him just right from the start, and them going, I remember there was Matty Johns, was going, he has to be in the Origin team, and I remember thinking, like, no friggin' way, like, he can't defend. He can't defend.
Yeah.
And he still can't defend right now, and that's why he's not in first grade.
Yeah.
So they went from saying this dude's going to be, like, even Siranen, oh yeah, these guys are going to be guaranteed Australian Kangaroo players, and now, like, they could sort of fringe first graders.
Yep. Yeah, with Billy Kickow, man, I remember watching him in reserve grade, and he played with our current coach of the Titans, Garth Brennan, and I would literally say a prayer every night, please, Garth, bring him with you, because I knew what this guy was capable of. I knew he was too good for reserve grade. Sure enough, we don't bring him to the Titans, and he has his first proper year, and he absolutely kills it. Let's do one more. Old school versus new school. Danny Badiris versus Damien Cook. This is so tough, man. It's
a hard one because they're so different, and because of the areas. Like, Damien Cook is pretty much like the perfect hooker for this current
ruck speed and game tempo. Yeah. But then
Danny Badiris is such a good player as well. He could make it work in this one as well. Kind of similar to Cameron Smith, I guess. But I don't know. Danny Badiris had some pretty good teams. Like, he was with Andrew Johns, and I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a hard one.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Bedsy was always considered the second best to Cameron Smith most of his career. Yeah,
well, as soon as Cameron Smith came along, it was goodbye Badiris, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then Robbie Farah sort of took over.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. All right, man. Well, I had a lot of fun tonight. Did you enjoy?
Yeah, that was really good. That was really, really good.
It's refreshing, man.
Yeah, I don't really get to talk about, like, I talk about footy, but not really sort of in a long form.
Yeah, so I know what you mean. You got to try to keep your YouTube videos short, engaging, to the point. Whereas a podcast like this, like, a lot of people won't watch it live, but people can just stick it in their ears, man, while they do a chore around the house, and they're perfect in that sort of regard.
Do what I do when I play FIFA or something. Just have it on in the background, listen to it.
No, it's great. All right, well, thank you everyone for being here tonight. As you can see, my social media is all in the middle there. Feel free to follow any of them or reach out to me on any of them if you want to know some rumours, updates, or talk about footy. I'll do my best to get back to you. As I said again, thank you so much for being here for the third instalment of League Lane with Dane. I'm going to hand it over to Luke now to close the shop. So I do a YouTube channel if you want to check it out. I was going to say it's in the description. I'm used to closing out videos like that. So my channel is MrLuke Sports. If you just write in MrLuke, it should come up. Instagram's MrLuke on YT, so MiLukeOnYT. That's the same as my Twitter. And yeah, that's a wrap. Awesome. Thanks heaps for being here, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show.